Welcome back to another edition of the Renatus JAM. I'm Jay Stark.
And I'm Matt Snyder.
And we are joined by a very special guest today, none other than the founder and CEO of Renatus, Mr. Bob Snyder.
Hey, I'm thrilled to be here, everybody. I mean, with the Renatus JAM, all you need is a little jelly. And, well, I've been putting on a little weight, so I qualify.
I appreciate you getting us off onto the right foot there. That's awesome.
I like that. I like that intro.
Not quite how we okay. So
were you looking for more professionalism? Was that what?
No,
we don't do professional.
Here. This is a perfect opportunity. The Renatus JAM is really intended to be a more informal and a less scripted way to get to know market leaders, to get to know the story behind the story, all sorts of cool things that are coming out of Renatus. So, Bob, I'm excited that you're here. And we're all about just making sure that we have an uplifting and informative conversation, but you're welcome to share anything you want.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Well, you know what? I'm just thrilled to be here. You know, it's wonderful in this new day and age of ours where technology has taken over the world and we can now communicate from the comfort of our own home, which is what I'm doing now.
Nice. So let me ask you a question. I've been thinking about what we could discuss, what we could bring to people that they may not have heard you talk about before. So let me ask you just what was the genesis? What was the very beginning of the idea behind Renatus? Why did you, when you started Renatus, why did you say this is the right time, this is the right way, this is how we're going to do it? What was kind of that fundamental, what were some of those thoughts that you were having at that time?
Well, you've got to understand, I mean, you know, Renatus was really an outgrowth of a previous company that I was a part owner in. And you know, everything that I valued about what we created in that company, I wanted to bring forward into the future, and all the stuff that we didn't like, I wanted to leave in the past. So I know I've shared that story with folks in the past, but there was a number of things. And for me, it just it came down to me sitting down and really crafting a business plan. And that plan was, all right, let's take a look at the lessons of life we have learned based on our experience. And there's only two ways you really learn in life. Either learn from your own experience or the experience of others.
And I have heard that for 20-something years.
Yeah, you've heard that. Matt, you've heard all of my sayings, I mean, for 20-something years.
It is true, though.
And it was true of me. So what I did was I said, okay, if we want to do live education on a regular basis, that really creates a challenge for people to travel across the country and to spend 6 weeks of their life going back and forth to classes in a location in Phoenix, Arizona, which is what we were doing. I said, you know, there's a better way, and a much better way. We're kind of moving into the digital age, and we could do all of our classes online, allow individuals to do, education at their own pace, self-learning, access classes 24/7. So that was really an outgrowth of the fact that I could see how difficult it was for people to travel across the country back and forth on a regular basis. Right. When I take a look at so many of the other things that we put into play in Renatus, it was because I'd had that previous experience, good, bad, or indifferent, in my previous company, and I knew what we needed going forward to streamline our operations and to help our students have a better outcome.
I love that. I mean, just from the very beginning, your mindset is on what we can do to help the individual. From the very foundation of what the first thoughts were with Renatus. That's amazing. And then taking the best parts from what you've learned through your past experience and then applying that now. That's just, you know, one question I had just as you were discussing your business plan. First, how long did it take you to craft that? And second, how close have we maintained to that from the original plan?
You know what? It took me 2 weeks to sit down and really work through everything in my head and work it out on paper and to craft, you know, all of our different performers in Excel spreadsheets and make that work. But from that point forward, we really have just been following the plan. Yeah, we make little adjustments here and there as there are needs, because you've got to be flexible. You shouldn't write a business plan in permanent ink. You know, sometimes you got to erase a few sections and modify them. But it's pretty true to form. even the international side of things. I've always had a desire to do that. That was in our original business plan. I knew what we needed to create. I also knew that real estate investing education was not borderless. It was really kind of confined here to the United States, because that's where our educators do their investing, and that's the language and the strategies that they use to invest. And it doesn't translate well in a lot of other countries. So now that we've got our profits course out there, holy smokes, man, now we can go around the world with entrepreneurial and business education that's going to help benefit people's lives. And it's applicable in the US, it's applicable in Canada, it's applicable in Zimbabwe or Sweden, wherever we want to take it.
That's pretty awesome. I'm just the international scene. It's going to be huge for Renatus. Do you think that that's the next evolution that we're really moving into now?
Oh, it absolutely is. Now, listen, I don't want to take our eye off the prize. The fact is, we've got 330 million people here in the United States, and what we have, they need. I truly believe that, especially at this time in our country's history. This is the first pandemic that I've ever been through. I'm sure it is for most individuals.
This is my fourth.
You're fourth.
Yeah.
Well, you've been around. I'm telling you.
Well, 20-something years.
I saw an interview with a gal the other day where I think she was 102 or 104. She lived through the Spanish flu and through COVID-19.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's there's not many of those around. But because of COVID-19 and because of the pandemic, everyone has had to pivot and shift very quickly to a new way of doing business and to a new way of thinking about how to reach potential customers. Technology affords us such an incredible luxury we just didn't have in the past. So now we can do business right now, from my home here in Bear Lake or anywhere around the world. And I think folks are going to become more and more comfortable with that, which is also going to give them the idea that we want them to have, and that is, if I'm going to be successful going forward into the future, I need to have a side hustle. I got to have something to back up what I'm doing in my principal business or my principal job. And that business, whatever it is, needs to be something I can do from home if I am ever in this position again. And guess what? A Renatus fits the bill.
Yes, it does.
Our original business plan had that in mind going forward, knowing that the day and age would come when individuals would want to work from home, truly from home, and in whatever capacity they should choose. And now they're almost forced into it.
Yeah, it's become very obvious to some people that have always been able to rely on on their job to be there, that now all of a sudden their incredibly stable job is not so stable. That they're really looking and going, you know what? In this gig economy, I need a side gig. I need something to supplement something that I can do on my own.
Multiple streams of income. Right?
Oh, man, where have I heard that before?
I don't know. I've heard it like twice in my 20-something years. I am in my 30s, by the way, just for everybody. Yeah.
I'm sure all of our viewers at home were wondering that right now.
Yeah, but it was just like the first 12 or 13 years he really wasn't paying attention. So when he said I'm 20-something, I thought, yeah, okay, that's about right.
It's true.
Oh, man.
It's true.
So Bob, you've ended almost every single founder's webinar that you've done with the saying, if home is where the heart is, shouldn't your business be there also? Do you see this opportunity that we're facing right now? And I'm going to call this the stay-at-home orders. I'm going to call this quarantine effort an opportunity. Do you think that this is an opportunity that's going to catapult people into that, seeing the reality of what they can do now from their home?
Well, you know what? We learned through the drive system and through Woody that anytime there's any kind of a belief shift or change, it's generally because there's something of major impact, whether it's an emotional impact or some sort of an economic impact, and it creates a reassociation and a realignment of belief and ideas. I think it will become more and more attractive as it becomes more and more feasible. In the past, it hasn't. I mean, large corporations have wanted to have all of their staff and their employees under roof. With this, I think they're finding out that they can actually help folks work from home in more of an overseer capacity And with the technology that we have, individuals can still be made accountable for the work that they're doing. So I think that employers are going to become more comfortable with it, which means employees are going to learn to embrace it. The biggest challenge is how in the heck do you create boundaries around your work environment so you separate yourself from business or family, I should say, so you can get stuff done. And man, I've had a lot of years working at home. Matt will attest to this, but the family knew. Dad was in his office. He's in his office. It's almost as if he's across town, not just through a door.
Yep.
And
unless it's bleeding or broken, you don't go in.
That's right. Unless it's bleeding or broken. So it was very nice because it took a while. Honestly, it took a few years to kind of retrain the family, but they eventually got it and they supported me in that, and that way I could just walk through my office door in my home and I could be as productive as if I were sitting in an office anywhere around the world. Yeah. A lot of folks are experiencing that right now, and they're going to figure it out.
That's awesome. Being able to draw those boundaries, being able to treat your business like a business, not just like something that you can do, but something that you're going to be disciplined about. What does it take to create those disciplines for you? What did it take you to say, you know what, when I'm at home but in the office, then I'm working, versus I'm just going to mess around or whatever else?
I'll never forget it. I was doing a video interview years ago, and Michael Huggins was asking me a few questions. And one of the questions that he asked was, he says, "Bob, have you ever had a fear of success?" And I was like, "No, are you kidding me? Absolutely not. I've had a massive fear of failure. That's what I've had a fear of." And that fear drove me. My upbringing played a very important role in who I am today. I was raised in kind of a unique environment. I've shared that with a lot of folks. My dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict when I was very young. And one of the best things that ever happened to our family is they finally put him in prison for a couple of years. We called it Dad's forced rehab. And, he got himself cleaned up. And when he got out, life resumed with not just a normality, but it was so much better than it was before. But here's the challenge. My dad, God bless him, he was a very intelligent man. Incredibly well educated, and he was talented. He had mad skills, but he only had two speeds. That was it. Fast and stop. There wasn't anything in between. And when Dad made money, he then said, "Oh, this is great. I can go to sleep now." There's only two outfits I ever saw my dad in my entire life. He was either in a suit with no tie, just buttoned up to the collar. It was really an interesting thing. You remember that, Matt?
I do. I can attest to this. And pajamas.
Yep, or pajamas.
Yep.
That was it. He was either in a suit or pajamas.
Yep.
And when he was in his pajamas, he was in do nothing mode. Do nothing. And what would happen to the finances in our family is that they would go down and down and down and down and down and down and down until we were flat busted broke. And then Dad would have to kick it into high gear to go out and make some money. We went through that up and down stress of financial bliss to financial despair over and over and over again in my family. And I think that was one of the real driving forces for me, is that I thought, I don't ever want my wife or my kids to have to deal with that nonsense. So for me, when we talk about disciplines, the discipline of working from home, I was constantly driven, almost an anxiety about it, to be on the phone and to be engaged in money-making activities, because I knew that next call could be the next sale, or that next person that I worked with, I could help them, to become a long-term leader and provider in their home and their family. So those were the motivators for me. It was my childhood and my desire to ensure financial stability for my own family.
And it sure was. I remember vividly, actually, what it was like. The door to his office was a glass door, so you could see through. And you had said something about taking it seriously.
Oh yeah.
was never not working. Like he was never not proactively on purpose engaged in money-making activities. And so, always on the phone. If he's not on the phone, there was something that he was doing to be engaged and full attention engaged, right? Not just screwing around. So, yeah.
Right. You know, it's easy to see why it is that you've been able to create such massive success in your life and inspire so many thousands around the world to do the same in their life. What role does accountability play in who you are?
Oh my goodness. It's an important aspect to anything. One of the things that I would do each day is that in the morning I would kind of review my plan for the day. I'd make and refine it and review my plan for the day. In the evening, I'd do an accountability review. In other words, I would just take a few minutes to kind of look back on my day, and I would think, okay, what did I accomplish? Who did I talk to? What lives did I change? What difference did I make? What sales did I close? I mean, how did my business continue to push forward? What problems did I solve? And I would really do an accountability review every single night, so that I was teed up to make adjustments the next day, because it's kind of like Tony Robbins says. He uses the acronym CANI. It stands for constant and never-ending improvement. And that's what my entire business career was all about, was constant and never-ending improvement. And it's one of the reasons why I've really spent so much time and money over the years to develop what we have in Helios. Now, Helios in its current form is awesome, and it will continue to get better. But I wanted accountability tools built into Helios. I also wanted really good data and analytics built into Helios. And as we move forward from its launch, it's going to give us that, so that no longer can people fool themselves. So they would be confused by activity, and they would confuse that with accomplishment. I want folks to be able to look at their business, look at their numbers, be able to see exactly where they're getting results, spend their time focused in that area, rather than kind of be a wandering generality. I'd rather have them be a focus specific.
Nice. I love that. So let's circle back to the activity versus accomplishment, because I think so often we get tied up in, oh, I'm so busy, I have so much to do, so many people are demanding of my time. How do you gauge, measure, adjust, and adapt activity versus accomplishment?
You know what? Here's the great thing about evolution of business, and this is what I really want to impress upon everybody. Whatever your business is, whether your business is, if you're focused on marketing the Renatus educational services, whether your business is your real estate business, could be fix and flip, could be buy and hold, could be seller finance notes, could be anything, whether your business is, running a temporary employment agency, or, cutting hair, or running an automotive service business, whatever the business is, you start out in business self-employed. It always begins with you. That means you didn't get a job, you bought a job, right? And it means you have no leverage in your business, because everything is solely dependent on you and you alone, right? So you've got to be the chief cook and bottle washer. You've got to be your own accountant. You've got to be sales and marketing. You've got to be, product fulfillment and distribution. You've got to handle it all. What happens, though, is that as your business starts to grow and you have the resources to expand it, you're going to hire good people who can assist you with those tasks. Well, here we are, 9+ years later in Renatus, and the beauty is that I don't have to do it all. I mean, I've got an amazing team, an incredible team of people behind me that I can, make assignments to, that I can bounce ideas off of, that I can help have help assist me in what needs to be done, so that I no longer have to be working constantly in my business, as Eric Counts says in his class. I get to be working on my business. And you'll find that you'll make that transition as well over time. It just doesn't happen day one.
Wait. I want an out-of-the-box solution. I want a get-rich-quick scheme. I want somebody to do all the work for me. I just put in a little bit of money and I'm going to make my millions, right?
Oh, wouldn't that be nice, man? I'm telling you what, individuals who do that kind of stuff or promote that kind of stuff, I mean, I just think, really, there's more to this story. I don't know about you guys, and I don't want to speak ill of anyone because I haven't even read the book. It's just the title itself that irritates me. And it's like, the 4-hour work day or work week or whatever the darn thing is. What is that, Jay?
Is it the 2-day work week or the 5-day weekend or
no,
the 4-hour work week?
This one's like the 4-hour work week. It certainly is a nice attention getter, right? I mean, I understand why they use something like that for marketing because it's a great attention getter, but it's also deceptive because it's nonsense. People go into it going, okay, man, I'm gonna do this 4-hour work week. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work 4 hours this week, and I'm gonna become a multimillionaire. Hogwash. I don't know anybody who's ever been able to achieve that, including the author of the book. Now, might he have a business today which has the leverage of technology and human resource and all sorts of things that allow him the opportunity to maybe only engage 4 hours a week? Yeah, I would certainly go with that. But initially, no way, no how. If you're going to become successful in anything you take on, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. You're going to have to prioritize those daily tasks. You're going to have to get lean and mean and get in the trenches and do the work that is required. And you may have to do it for years, sometimes decades, to be able to realize, the dream that you started out with. And if you don't, I'm going to be a little ticked off because that's what I had to do.
That's true.
That reminds me of one of the quotes that came out of the National. And just, it is the 4-hour work week by Timothy Ferriss.
Yeah.
But
not speaking ill of Timothy Ferriss.
No.
He's got a great hook on a book title, but the general premise is it needs a full explanation.
And that's one of the things that you've taught for a long time. The only way that you're going to be a millionaire next week is if you're a millionaire this week.
That's right.
No, I was trying to see where the quote was, but James Lawrence had a quote that I just love where he said something to the effect of being able to repeatedly engage in the mundane is a decidedly underrated superpower.
Yes. Well, that's it. I think you're pretty close, if not right on.
Yeah, I'm getting there. But I just love that. You have to. There's nothing about work that isn't work. It is work. You have to work your business. You have to dedicate that time. You have to be intentional with who you are, where you are, when you are, all the time. And as you do, you're going to be able to start seeing that progress in your life. So, Mr. Snyder, let me ask you then, because this is one of my favorite questions, is how long did it take you to become an overnight success?
Well, you know what? I'll preface my answer by this. One of the best quotes I ever heard that I adopted early on was, you have to learn to love the things you have to do. You got to learn to love the things you have to do, right? So for me, it took decades. I tell my story about, how long I worked. Oh yeah, did I realize, some success along the way? Sure. But success is really defined differently by every single individual. And for me, it was an ability to finally get out of working for someone else and to be able to, start working for myself, and then to be able to build a business that had some great leverage in it. But it took years and years and years to become an overnight success. And I think that's true of an awful lot of folks. As a matter of fact, I think it was Steve Carroll that was being interviewed one night, and that same question was asked of him. They said, hey, how many years were you in acting? How many years were you an artist before you became an overnight success? And he just busted up laughing. I'll bet you any successful person you ever talked to would probably have the same response. And if they didn't, then they probably would be fudging just a little bit.
That's true.
Oh man. Yeah, that's it's so true. So many times we see the major wheel as it's in motion. We don't see what it took to get that thing spinning in the very beginning.
Yep. And I think it's necessary. there are a few people I could think of where success happened much faster than maybe even they anticipated. It really happened for them. You know, they tripped over it, whatever, right? Something happened. And if you haven't had to go through that, I kind of wonder, you know, these are usually the people that win the lottery and then they're broke a year later, right? Like, you know, so there is something that I think is necessary about logging all those hours, doing the mundane, and making it happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You gotta put in the time to truly appreciate just how far you can go. For sure.
You know what, Matt? You just hit on something. Your mom and I used to talk about this on a regular basis because I got frustrated with how long it was taking, right, for me to realize the level of success that I was after. It's not that I didn't enjoy success along the way. It's just that the level of success I was looking for took me years and years and years. And we used to talk about this. And you know what we really came to understand? We weren't ready. I mean, you know, that was just it. We weren't ready. When you start making great money and when you start having a larger reach in terms of your influence and your impact in the world and on people, you got to make sure that, you know, you've kind of been through the refiner's fire over the years so that you can handle it. What I see, especially in Hollywood or in the music industry, is some very talented young people who are not ready. They're just not ready. And we get to see them implode and self-destruct right before our very eyes over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for the joys in the journey, as well as the ability to prepare for the result at the end of that journey. And you know, so that's why I tell people all the time, don't get frustrated with the process. Embrace it daily and understand that your journey's not over till it's over. Yeah. You just need to continue to improve, work hard, you know, develop your skill sets, develop your mindset, your attitude, build your relationships and your mental and your relationship capital and your financial capital so that when your day comes, you're ready for it.
So in this world, in this time of instant gratification, your message for anyone who's looking for success is that it is going to take time, discipline, hard work, accountability, and a regular habitual love and engagement in those daily tasks.
That's exactly right. Couldn't have said it better, Jay. You just summed it up. It's like, you know what, if you're going to really amount to anything, you've got to change who you are so that you can attract the circumstances in your life that are going to produce a better result.
Oh, yeah. Say that one more time.
I can't. It just came out.
No, I don't want you to repeat it. I want you to talk about, you just said something that was key. You said that in order to attract the results that you are looking for in your life, if you're looking for a different result, that you have to change who you are. You have to change yourself.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of my favorite authors, and who was a mentor of mine, Bob Proctor. Matter of fact, I talked about him a little bit at the national conference and quoted some of his works. He's got a great book. It's called You Were Born Rich. And he really lays out a case for the fact that, you know, we each emit a frequency, a vibration, if you will. All of our cells are vibrating at different frequencies. I mean, the difference between water and metal is it's a substance, a material that is vibrating at a different frequency. And you know, he really impressed upon me early on the fact that everything you want, everything you desire, every, you know, attribute you would like to create and aspire to, it's all there. You just have to realize how to tap into it. You just have to change yourself so that you then vibrate at a different frequency, so that you can attract those things that you really want in life. Now, I got to tell you, man, when I first read his book, I'm thinking, this is a little hocus pocus, man. This is like a few chapters out of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, where I scratched my head and went, transmutation? What? You know? But over time, I have become a believer. because I've watched individuals that what they think about, they bring about. I mean, who they have become attracts the circumstances around their life and their being. And the unfortunate reality is that if you don't like where you're at in life, you got nobody to blame but yourself, because the decisions and the actions that you have made this far in your life have basically brought you to this space. So you want to change your life? You got to change yourself. And if you work harder on yourself than you do on your job, you're on the right track.
Yeah, and I think that starts with changing your thinking. You know, there's a saying in AA that your best thinking got you here. Maybe you should change that thinking, right? Or listen to somebody else. And I think that when trying to change yourself, the first thing you need to look at is what you're putting into your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I love talking about how you can transform your results by transforming yourself. And talking about the vibration and the frequencies and everything along those lines. Matt, you did a good vibrations on a doctor who studied the effect of sound on water. Mm-hmm. What was his name? Was it Yashimoto, Dr. Yashimoto?
Yeah. What I was talking about was Lindsay Sterling, but she has a song called "Crystallize," and it's about that. It's about this effect, of sound on water, and basically what she was talking about is inner beauty.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So Bob, let me just ask you, just kind of circling back here a little bit to Renatus and where Renatus is and where it's headed. What have been some of the major challenges that you've faced as you've brought Renatus forward?
Oh my goodness, the challenges.
Which challenge is your favorite? Let's just go with that. Because the list.
What can we do? I mean, where do you even start? Because life is nothing more than a series of challenges, and how you respond to those challenges to overcome those things and find solutions is a big part of what drives success. So over the years, as we've worked, I think, oh my goodness, I mean, in the very beginning, it was just being able to bring forward, software programming from my previous company and stitch it all together and make the darn thing work. It was at a time when we were in the heart of the Great Recession. I mean, when nobody wanted to talk about real estate investing. They were like, "Are you kidding me? Real estate? You're in real estate?"
That's how you ended a conversation real quick. "Hey, I'm in real estate. I don't want to talk to you."
Yeah. I mean, they would look at you like, "Are you okay? I mean, you know what? Maybe we ought to bring you and your family over a decent meal. I know it's got to be hard for you right now." So, and it's so funny because the masses always wait until something becomes self-evident before they'll get involved. Back then, I mean, savvy investors were crushing it in real estate.
Yeah.
And everybody else was going, "Ooh, don't want to go down that road," right? So being able to educate the public and overcome that natural perception and the social validation or experience that people were kind of trapped in, that was, job one. That was a challenge. Started the business in our basement. And, Matt remembers those days as he would come over. And Jay, you remember those days because you were there.
Yep.
Right?
Saw Jay every morning.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep.
It was just the life that we led, right? And we expanded our business with very, very minimal overhead as we kept our expenses down until we finally could move into a decent facility. In the very beginning, we used to go to the Davis Conference Center up in Layton, Utah every single month. We would drag our trailer worth of stuff up there, full of stuff. With all of our equipment, we would have to set up a complete studio, invite our educators and trainers in to film their classes. We'd spend 3 days. We'd bring in a live studio audience, and we'd get 3 days with our instructor in front of that live studio audience with this makeshift studio that we created. Then we would tear the whole dang thing down, drag it home, and wait for the next month to go do it all over again. And we did that every single month for the first year, until we finally moved into our first office. It was kind of an office warehouse mix.
Garage thing.
Yeah. And in the back, that's where we set up our studio and started to film classes until we finally got to a point where we could build, our permanent facilities and make things happen. So along the way, it was kind of interesting. In the very beginning, Jay, do you remember that every single Tuesday and Friday, not only would we do a check run because we didn't have any way to do ACH transfer or automatic deposits, it was all physical checks that went out in the mail.
Oh, yeah.
And it was always a hurricane of activity. And then you guys had to wait on me because I hand signed every single check before we put it in the mail and send it on its way. I look back on just so many experiences like that have allowed us to evolve into the company and the community that we are today. And were it not for those challenging times, we wouldn't be who we are. We wouldn't have been forged through the challenges of adversity. And now when we have difficulties or problems that emerge, we just say, okay, how are we going to solve this? Yep. It's not the sky is falling and we're all doomed. It's how are we going to solve this? What are we going to do? Let's put our collective mind together. We come up with a solution, and then we immediately move forward with an action.
So do you find in my life, I've found that the more experienced I get, which is really just code for the older I get, the more the bigger challenges become. Like if I were to face the challenges that I have today 10 years ago, I would have folded. But today, I'm a little more experienced. I kind of feel like the longer that Renatus has been established, the more experience that we're having collectively as a team, the greater challenge that we're able to confront, to overcome, and to move through. Do you find that's true as well, Bob?
Oh, yes. My goodness, man. Life's experience is such a great teacher. Today, whenever adversity hits, I really have a different attitude about it. Rather than the sky's falling, today it's, okay, what have I got to learn from this? Really, what does God want me to learn from this so that I can improve myself to be in a better position to help others and overcome these challenges? So that's a big part of it. It's constant growth and development, and as time goes on, you just get better.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man. I love the energy in Renatus, and I love just listening to you, Bob, talking about how we are progressing together, how that's really our opportunity here is just to make that progress, and how the joy really is in the journey of going from where we are and moving forward.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. So, yeah. All right. So let me ask you this question, because over the years, you've talked quite a bit about how to, the best people to really work with are your warm market, right? So how do you take, especially in the environment today, where face-to-face, belly-to-belly, 3-foot rule is more 6-foot rule idea is becoming more of a challenge.
6-foot rule. Was that a coronavirus joke?
That was a corona joke.
Slipped that in there?
I did. I thought that was kind of crafty, but how do you effectively market to your warm market right now?
You know what? It's not that tough. I mean, the money-making activities we engage in Renatus, see the people, tell the story, build for events, and follow up, are exactly the same. The medium's a little different. That's all. That's the only thing that's changed. The medium is a little different. So what we've got to do is we still get people on the phone. We can get them on a Zoom call. You can get them on a webinar. You can use all sorts of different communication devices or software programs that will help you to tell the story. So you can contact, you can pique their interest, you can tell the story. And if you're not feeling confident enough to tell the story, here's the good news. You got leaders all over the country that are using these great platforms so that you can do that. In Helios, we made it brain dead simple, right? Now, when I say simple, it really is a simple process. It still doesn't mean that it's easy. You got to pick up the phone, you got to make the call, you got to follow through, you got to do the work. But it is a simple process so that all you got to do is give somebody a link. Let them go watch the briefing. If they like what they hear, they click on that, they put in their information, and they go watch the introductory presentation. If they like the intro, Then they click on that, they go through the follow-up. And, you know, if they like that, then they go through a little survey at the end of our sales campaign that's in Helios. And they tell you what they're feeling and they're thinking so that you know how to follow up with them and respond. You know, from there, our leaders are doing virtual intensives with our instructors. I mean, plug your guest into one of those and say, hey, we'd like to give you a little sample of our education so that you could experience this before you make a buying decision. You know, let's get you in front of Mark Kohler. Let's get you in front of you know, any one of our instructors so that they can share with you, you know, a little bit about their class and what makes it special. We're doing virtual property tours. This is kind of crazy, but I mean, I've seen some of our students and our leaders out there who are literally following around somebody with a camera through one of their fix and flips, giving everybody a tour.
Yeah.
Technology has changed our world. So with Warm Market, you might not be belly to belly, you know, in the literal sense, but you're still eyeball to eyeball through a camera lens. And we can take them through this experience so that they can make an intelligent, informed decision about whether or not Renatus is the right vehicle for them.
So you're saying that I should really warm up my cold market and then make sure they're informed about exactly what Renatus is before they're presented with that buying option.
Oh, I'm a big believer in that. I mean, listen, you know, what we want to do in our program is we want to show the difference. We're not a seminar company. We don't do a one-call close. We don't use those manipulative tactics to drive people to make a buying decision because of high pressure or urgency. What we do instead is we build relationships with people, and we build that relationship over an ongoing period of time. So that's a big part of everything that we do. The other thing, too, is, you know, you mentioned cold market. Let's talk about warm market, cold market. Warm market are those individuals that you already have a connection with. Cold market are those people you don't know. But a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet. So that doesn't mean that they can't transition pretty quickly, right? I will tell you this. Your warm market will be responsive based on their feeling about you. Initially, that's just the way it is. It's the truth of it all. They will either be attracted to our business or repelled by it based on how they feel about you. Now, it might sound harsh because you might say, well, gee, none of my friends or family or neighbors want to have anything to do with this company. Well, okay. That means you got some work to do.
Right.
Let's just be truthful about it, you know. Work on improving you so that you can become the leader that other people are looking for and that you can attract. That means you may have to start your business all cold market until you're able to transform who you are. In other words, start to vibrate at a different frequency so that it will attract the things in life you're looking for. And then you can make a transition back around to talk to the people that you know. So that, you know, when you have a conversation with them, they'll go, wow, you're different. You're different. The results you're getting are different. Maybe there's something to this that I ought to pay attention to.
Right.
And that makes a big difference. So you just kind of have to figure it out. You know, what's going to be the best for you. If you got a good relationship with people, then talk to your warm market. If they won't listen to you, then that's indicative that they don't respect you enough yet. So get out there and start generating leads. Like I said to begin with, there's 330 million people in the United States, and many of them are looking for just what we have. So let's talk to them, drive success, change who you are, how you show up in a conversation, so that people will want to listen to you going forward.
Man, so much of what you're saying is all accountability. It is. All comes back to me.
Yep.
If it's meant to be, it's up to me.
And I love that. Another thing I've heard for a long time, and I truly, I love it. It's so accurate. And there's something really special about taking personal accountability. You can control more than you think by changing these, you know, who you are, what you put into your mind. So yeah, absolutely.
It's a process of becoming, and it's a process of transformation. And I know I'm doing most of the talking here. I mean, heck, I'd let you guys in on it, but
you're the guest.
That kind of brings up another thought. And here's the thought. You know, we believe in education. That's what Renatus is all about. We are an education company, right? We're a training company.
Yep.
And And that's not just, kind of siloed to real estate investing. That's business and entrepreneurship and personal development and all sorts of things. But because we believe in education, that doesn't necessarily mean that we believe in diplomas. I believe that, like the world of academia and college and degrees and diplomas are important. But let me tell you what I think so much of the world of academia is missing. And that is the value and importance of relationship building, social skills, and personal development. Because we see people get churned out of universities every single year, and they pay an outrageous fortune for their education. They make tremendous sacrifices. And if when they get to the other side, they might have a diploma, they might have a degree, right? Yep. Something we don't offer in Renatus, right? But they may have a diploma or they may have a degree. But if they don't have good social skills, if they don't have the right mindset, if they don't have good personal development kind of lifting them in that education they've been given, nobody's going to hire them. And they're going to stand around in the unemployment line, blaming somebody else because they think they got sold a bill of goods.
Yeah.
But again, if it is to be, it's up to me.
I love it. I love it. That just, I love it. I love just the ability that we each have inside of us to create our own possibilities, our own success. And, each one of us measures our success a little bit different. So what's really success for you and for you is different for me. And yeah. So let me ask just a couple more questions here. I'm just curious. You talked a lot in Helios about the accountability, trackability, and automation of how the system works. Well, as an up-and-coming ICM, a marketer, shouldn't I be able to have my own system? Shouldn't I be able to do what works for me, and be able to put my spin on everything?
You know what? I mean, you certainly can. But here's some of the risks that are associated with that. What we're really living in is a highly, highly regulatory world, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got great attorneys inside the company, outside of the company that get to review, our message to make sure that it's going to be compliant with the 67 quadrillion different laws that our lawmakers have made. I think one of the best laws that we ought to have is that for them to be able to make a law, they must remove 2 off the books. Every time they make one, they got to get rid of a couple, right? Because we're going the wrong direction. So
if only.
Yes. So, that's one side of it. The other thing is this, we've got a lot of experience. And if we work together with a united front and a united message, then yes, you're not going to have authorship, which I know so many people want. They want authorship. They want their message to be their message, right? But what you'll have is a lot of experience and a lot of, better probability of success because you've got proven, experienced leaders putting together the messaging. So an individual certainly can try to go build their own advertising, marketing, introductory system, but they may find themselves out of compliance because they're saying and doing the wrong things. And they may find that they waste an enormous amount of time, energy, effort, and money to come up with something that is inferior to what's already been built. Great story. I'll never forget this. As I was helping a brand new company get started years and years ago, I put together a training program. And that training program was about 32 to 34 pages of some really good, solid information based around 4 money-making activities. See the people, tell the story, build for events, and follow up. We presented that to the field, and most folks embraced it, and they got busy with it and started doing what they were doing. I'll never forget, there was one guy that was in our business. He just disappeared. I mean, just disappeared for like 6-7 weeks. I didn't see this guy. And then he emerged, right?
Like a butterfly.
Yeah. And I said, his name was Chris. I said, Chris, man, it's been a long time. Where in the heck have you been? He says, oh, Bob, I'm telling you, And I've been working hard. I've been working hard. I just found that, your training was a little bit simplified, and it just didn't fill in a lot of the gaps that I felt were really important. So, and now mind you, this is a guy who had never made a sale and never made any money with us, right? So he says, I just felt like, it needed a little work. So I've spent the last 7 weeks really drilling down to create a training program that is awesome. And he presented it to me, and it was like 96 pages long, right?
Ooh.
So he'd taken my 32 pages and expanded it to 96
Yikes.
pages. And I'll never forget the caption on the front of this training manual. It had a caveman where he had taken off the round stone off of his cart and set it aside and had chiseled this beautiful new square wheel. And he was mounting it on the cart, right? But the caption was so funny because it said, don't reinvent the wheel. And I just looked at him, and I looked at this caption, and I read this, and I started busting up laughing. And he says, yeah, it's kind of funny, isn't it? And I said, yeah, it's hilarious.
The irony.
And I couldn't find my composure. And he says, so it's not that funny. And I said, don't you see the irony behind this? You just spent 7 weeks, instead of engaged in money-making activities, you've been reinventing the wheel.
I'm sure he didn't appreciate that anywhere near as much as we have.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, but it's been a great learning, experience for a lot of years.
That's pretty funny. So, all right, how has the Drive sales system changed the landscape of Renatus?
Listen, let's start with me. I've always believed that I was a fairly effective communicator, but what Drive has done for me personally is shown me my weaknesses. Because we sell based on our own drive. We sell based on our own personality. That's the reason why we're so good with people we can have a connection with, right? We can build rapport with, because they're people just like us. Outside of that limited group, I wasn't very effective at communicating or at selling, right? Or at persuading, in any way, shape, or form. What Drive has helped me to do is to realize that my opinions, that my personality are narrow in their scope and their focus. And if I'm really going to make the impact I want on the world, I have got to learn how to communicate with others. And Drive is the best system I've ever seen that helps me to do that. You want to get greater results? Stop just talking to the 20% of the people in the world that are like you in terms of personality, and learn how to start opening that up to the additional 80% who are not like you. Drive is genius. It is an absolute inspired work, and Woody ought to get like the Nobel Peace Prize for brilliance on this thing. And it's our goal to acquaint people around the world, not only with Drive for sales, Drive for communication, Drive for personal development, but all of our education in our classes, because each of our educators bring to the table their own brilliance that allows us to move forward in a pretty powerful way. So I'll just tell you, that's what it's done for me. And what I hear from the field on a regular basis is other people are experiencing the same kind of transformation.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. I love to hear that. I love to think about the wide-reaching effects of how Drive can change the way that we communicate interpersonally, the way that we sell, the way that we are managing our own lives and businesses, just based on understanding a little bit better about ourselves and about the people that we interact with. Yeah, especially
combined with the emotional fingerprint. I don't hear people talk about that too much, but it was Drive combined with the emotional fingerprint that I feel like really helped me understand people, especially the people closest to me. It's really done a lot for just personal relationships close to me. So yeah, Woody nailed it with Drive and with emotional fingerprint.
He did. The guy's an absolute genius. And think about this: every single time you walk into a business owner and you can say, hey, listen, you know what? We've got something here that is pretty extraordinary. And what I'd like to do is just give you a simple, quick example. If I can show you in the next few minutes how valuable what I have is to your company, your organization, in increasing sales and productivity, would it be worth just a couple of minutes of your time? What business owner is not going to say, well, okay, really, a couple minutes? Yeah. Throw those drive cards down, identify their drive, identify their personality type, start speaking to them in the language that they would like to be spoken to and sold to. And then when you've made that kind of an impression, how easy is it for you to say, so what if we could teach your entire sales staff how to do what I just did with you? Mm-hmm. That's when the lights go on and they go, oh my God, I could increase my closing ratio by 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 50%.
Oh, yeah.
If I could bring in that many more clients, that much more business, think about what I could do with the revenue. Think about how many more people I could hire. Think about how many more systems I could develop. Think about how many more profits I could, as a business owner, be able to enjoy. All of a sudden, the lights go on, folks, and that's the magic of Drive. We can show people very, very quickly what makes us different and why it works so that they want it working for them.
Yeah. I love the Drive sales system, and one of the most impactful parts for me was watching you go through each one of the personality types and sell, as Woody's just like, okay, boom. And then you're like, oh, well, this is how I would talk to this individual. Boom. This is how I would talk to this individual. Mm-hmm. I just love that role-playing examples that you were able to do just on the fly. Just, this is how I would interact with each one of these people. That's awesome. So, all right. And I know that we're coming to the end of our time together, but I just wanted to real quick recap the national conference with you. We have, it feels like from the beginning of the year until the national conference, our entire everything is consumed with planning for the national, right? The first quarter of the year, almost every single year, is just national conference. And this year, just a few weeks before the national, all of a sudden we had to pivot quickly and change our entire format in order to keep everybody safe and to ensure that we were abiding by the policies that were being enacted almost daily, right? We saw those updates coming all the time. So in your estimation, what did we do? How did it come off? How did it go? How was the national conference from your perspective?
This cloud's got a silver lining, and here's what it is. Here we are working hard with the Mountain America Expo Center to, and with our audiovisual team and all of our suppliers and vendors, the banquet staff, all the food prep people, to pull off another epic award ceremony and national conference. And then COVID-19 hits and we start to see, whoa, there's some changes that are taking place in the market. There's a possibility that, we might not be able to even do this. And right about the time we were making the decision that based on what was happening nationally, we probably ought to, take this a different direction. That's when the governor in the state of Utah came out and basically said, okay, we're going to make this decision for you. And in an instant, we shifted to everything going online. And working a new plan to make it happen. Here's what was interesting. The silver lining in this cloud is that we were expecting about 900 people to show up at the Mountain America Expo Center. That's 900 individuals who could enjoy the national conference. 900 individuals who could see the rollout of the Profits course for themselves. 900 individuals who could experience the awards ceremony and then be able to benefit from all the great speakers and trainers, from the content that was shared, from the ideas and the training that we gave. 900 people who could take their belief in Renatus and this opportunity from here to here and to have the business go from their head to their heart. 900. But instead, we had to take it online. And instead of 900, we had 1,770 people who registered to attend our national conference virtually. Now, do we have a few hiccups along the way? Yep, absolutely. We have, and we appreciate your patience. This is our first national conference that we've televised, and streamed. Yeah. Did the rollout of Helios go flawlessly? No, we knew we were going to have bugs. We knew we were going to have some bugs and some challenges, and we're still working through those. But again, we appreciate your patience. Did we know that customer care was going to be overrun with questions and needed information? Well, we had an idea, but not to this level. We've had to continue to pivot and make adjustments along the way because of your response, because you've embraced what we rolled out with Helios, because you've embraced what we rolled out with the Profits course, because now you're out there talking about it and selling it. And now those sales are going to lead to interested individuals who want to buy our real estate investing education as well. You made it happen. We might have facilitated the event, but you now are taking what you've learned and experienced from the event and you're making it happen. And that's why I believe it was a tremendous success and a blessing to all of us. That's why I say the silver lining in the cloud. That's what the national conference was for me and for everybody else at a time in our history when we really needed it. We needed that shot in the arm, and we needed that shot in our business as COVID-19 has really taken the attention, a negative spin and attention for most of the world.
Yeah. I feel like the national conference was tremendously impactful. We were able to share. We were able to receive. I loved having that front row seat all the time, being able to be almost face to face, it felt like, with every single presenter as they were going through their information, being able to just read all of the PowerPoints even. I just love that. And the fact that you turned around and then made everything available, in the recorded format for the next 30 days was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, I get to see the National twice now. That's pretty cool. You get to watch it multiple times.
There you go. Bob, you and I, we've worked side by side for 9 years, and it has every single day. I'm just inspired by you, by who you are, your efforts, and just the love that you have for the people that we serve. I love working with you. I love what Renatus is. I love what we create together. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for Renatus. Matt, I'm grateful for you. I love that we're in this thing together, hand in hand, helping so many people around the world now to realize their own potential, to accept that accountability, and to say, you know what, if it's meant to be, it's up to me,
man.
And they're going to go out there and they're going to kill it. And
thank you, Jay.
I love the mission of Renatus from the very foundation to the very top. I love that permeates everything that we do. So, Bob, thanks for coming on today. Thanks for sharing your experience, wisdom, guidance, and laughing with us. I just love listening to you talk about where Renatus has come from, where we are, and where we're going. So thank you for being with us today.
I'm so thrilled to be here. This is such a great format. I love what you guys are doing. And Jay, I could say all the same stuff about you, man. I love you. I couldn't have built this thing without you. It's just been an amazing journey, and you're like my right-hand man, and I'm so thrilled to have you here. And Matt, I am so proud of you, son. I mean, the way that you just continue to step it up to provide greater service to our community, to provide greater value for the company, and to use that boyish charm of yours to make friends all over the country. You got some mad skills, son, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Dad. I could say the same about the two of you guys. The amount of work, especially through the beginning, I watched from the sideline, but I watched it happen. And you guys, this company would not be here without either one of you.
Awesome.
Well, we're the team.
Yes, we are. So that is going to be the conclusion of our latest episode of the Renatus JAM. I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Mr. Aaron Peterson, acting as our producer, director, and that quiet voice in our ear. Bob, thanks for being our guest today. Mr. Matt Snyder, thank you. Renatus rocks.
JAM.
No, rocks.
JAM.
You got to get this right, Matt.
JAM.
Renatus rocks.
Renatus JAM.
Renatus rocks.
It does rock. Thanks, guys.